Hey everybody, welcome back to Hype Central. Let the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart, the stewardship of my hands be acceptable in thy sight. O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. I want to horn in on heaven. Ah! To God be the glory. To our God be the glory. To our God be the glory for the things he has done. To God be the glory. To our God be the glory. To God be the glory for the things he has done. That's it. Woo! Let me take my stoppers out so I can hear you hear me. Ha! Before I tread any further, I want to give, Hype Central wants to give our condolences to the royal family. If for no other reason, having respect unto the monarchy, its institution. I want to say that before I tread further. And also, not just them, but what's going on in Russia as well as Ukraine. We stand in agreement with those in whose heart the hope of healing is, the hope of deliverance is, the hope of justice is, the hope of balance is, and so forth. Hype Central stands in agreement. So, thank God for another session, for this platform, those that have reached out, checked up on us to see what was going on. I know it has been a while, but our schedule has changed. Lady T is on a new assignment and new adventure, so the schedule has changed. And Grandpa is now on official duty, at least last week, keeping an eye on the little one that you all saw in the last video. So a lot of things going on, but in regards to the subject matter that we tried to give you a peek of, just one look, I was trying to appease you guys just a little bit with a couple of videos we put out. You know, I was just messing around, playing around, sort of, but y'all stay tuned. There's more to come with that as well. So let's get to it. And if anything comes back around I want to bring up, I'll do that. Let me take a sip of water. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully something will be said to encourage, to put something on your mind. I'm just giving what I get. How about that? So, just one look. When I got the subject, all the details weren't given. Those of us that walk this way will understand that sometimes you get what you get in pieces and parts. And I was listening to Astro Man last week. Check him out. Y'all find out who he is. But anyway, and one of the things he mentioned was, you know, in so many words, I'm paraphrasing, just pay attention, because you don't know where the information on the inside is going to come from. So, the subject. Me being who I am, when I get a subject, I look for whatever is going to be said is going to line up right along with it. Right now, as I'm in front of this camera, about to commune with you, those that are listening, that perfect view isn't there. But I'm going to open my mouth, and we're going to go from there. The thing that came to mind specifically is sight. One of the five senses that we human beings carry. I'll just say a part of our inheritance. The ability to see, the ability to hear, the ability to taste, smell, and touch. but I want to focus in on sight, the importance of sight. It allows us to connect with our surroundings. It helps to keep us safe, and it helps to maintain a sharpness of mind. Immediately, the first thing that pops into my mind, Renee, is when we were living in Homewood, or the area of Homewood. At least the taxes were Homewood, the school was Homewood, but Homewood. And going to the train, I remember so early in the morning, you know, you look up, you see the constellation or the moon, stars, whatever, you see all of that. But what stood out more importantly in the seeing for me was the hearing. It would be, especially like about this time now, this time of year, it would be so dark outside starting out, you know, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, headed toward the train. And I observed how loud it was outside. How loud it was. Well, what do you mean it was loud? Didn't you say 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning? Yes, I did. But what I was hearing was all the critters, the insects, I don't know if crickets that hour at night, but all type of sounds. And the noise would be so loud. And I would say to myself, they said this time of day is quiet. But day after day, in my mind, I beg to differ. And one of the things that came to mind that I noticed on this particular night, as I approached near the train, how quiet it was. I was wondering what was going on. I didn't hear any bugs. I didn't hear any crickets. I heard nothing. Then all of a sudden, out in the blue, I'm going to get back to the subject, you all. I heard, and to hear that time of morning, I jerked around. What the heck? But in preceding days after that, what I noticed was, to me, y'all, this is me, walking down the street that time of morning, when I left the house, if I heard that noise, there was a particular a covering of safety, because I felt like I wasn't alone. As I walked down that long, dark street called Vollmer, headed toward the train on Western, hearing nothing. But then on those days, you know, when the noise was there, on the inside, I felt a degree of safety. But if I left out of the house and I didn't hear anything, the first thing that comes to mind, well, what's going on? So I would walk with a certain awareness, constantly paying attention to my surroundings, and yes, using sight as well as hearing. Let me get back to the subject at hand. I would say that if I were to grade the importance of sight, I would say it ranks pretty high. You know, and that's not to bring about any disparaging views or look to those that right now are dealing with the loss of sight. I'm reminded. I'm gonna get to the subject. It's been a few days, so y'all can listen to this in increments. I'm reminded when Renee and myself were setting this up, one of the things I said to her, I was like, I'm going to say now, as we get going, when we get to where we're going, I would like to have someone up there doing sign language for those, you know, that have issues with hearing, or have those dealing with different handicaps in mind as we're going forward. But I would say sight ranks pretty high. And then hearing, I believe, works hand in hand, and then so on and so forth. But just one look. I'm going to get to where I'm going. Certain things in life can't be reasoned through natural seeing. I'm headed somewhere. There's the ability to see naturally. You can see your surroundings. You know, when you're walking down the street, you know how to share a sidewalk. You know how to, if you're at the command of an automobile, how to stay centered in your lane, although some people don't. Centered in the lane, and so on and so forth. Use the sight naturally. But then there's some things in our lives, especially those of us that have a spiritual background. I might be jumping ahead. Those of us that have certain dreams and visions that can't really be explained. And yet they're there. Yet they're there. I'm reminded. I'm going to be going back and forth because I'm trying to convey everything that I'm seeing right now. I'm reminded a few months ago, and I was seated at the head table. There was a head table kind of like this. And there were a group of people around the table with us. And I looked over across the table and I said, Drake. And he looked at me. And I was like, Drake, how do you get around without being bothered? How do you navigate around the people without being bothered? And while I was yet speaking, another thing came to mind because I felt like I had this relationship with him. I was like, Drake? Yeah, Drake. Yeah, Drake. Right. So I said, Drake, I was like, if I saw you on the street, I'm going to act like I don't even know you. And just then, I started off by saying we were at the head table. Just then, I heard someone over the microphone. And they started listing all the accomplishments and awards and things that Drake had gotten. And I threw my hands up in the air. I said, see there? See there? I started off by saying, I'm going to disregard you. But here we go. That's what I said. I said, here we go. And then he went up to receive his reward. And then soon after that, I heard the spoken word, just words. And I wrote them down in my phone, but I don't have them handy. And it was the spoken word just before, and he did just what he said. And I'm going to say like Biggie, it was all a dream. But when I woke up, I had in mind, I was like, you know what? If there is outside of Kirk Franklin, because he's the closest to what I would call urban, contemporary, Christian spoken word artist, I would say the closest. And as I think about it, for me, I haven't noticed many who have sampled what I deem so precious art out there that's not being used. And that's gospel and urban contemporary. I don't know. I'll leave it alone. I'll just walk away from it. But it was all a dream. But those of us, when we have those dreams and or visions, sometimes they're so clear to us. And this is where we're heading. So clear to us, so, I feel my help, that it might as well just appear. It might as well be there. Listen, y'all, some are probably saying, that guy Charles, I seen him. I was flipping through YouTube and turning the pages, and I saw he was so animated and loud and act like he had it all and knew it all. Look! Not so. But if there's something that I see that I hold true and pure, I have no inhibitions about getting involved in that. And I'm going to give it my all. Yep. I don't care what it is. And how about this? I don't care what you think about it. Thank you, Jesus. Let me move a little bit further. Visions, often thought of as the strongest of our sensory abilities that we're born with. I'm trying to come down and then read what I said, what I wrote. It says humans tend to rely more on sight rather than hearing or smell for information about their current environment. I'm going to move ahead. It says, what does the scriptures talk about? It says, what does eye symbolize in the Bible? The eyes express the innermost feeling and desires of the heart. What we see. Let me move a little bit further so I can better explain where we're going. But first, our preamble. It's like I never heard that before. I'm about to read the preamble. I thought about Hype Central today. You know, this is our PSA to you on, what's today's date? The 15th or the 16th? 17th of September. It's our PSA. And it's not PSA as you know it, public service announcement, but it's more like when the overall message is done, it's either going to have a placebo effect, P. It's either going to have a salve effect, S. Or either it's going to be your antidote, just what you needed to hear. So this is our PSA for today. How about that? Y'all like that? Here we go. We're going to jump right in. Talking about just one look. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. And I grew strong. And I learned how to get along. And so you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I had known for just 1 second, you'd be back to bother me. Go on now, go. Walk out that door. Just turn around now, because you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one that tried to hurt me with goodbye? You think I'd crumble? You think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. I will survive. That's our preamble for today. I'm starting. Somebody needed to hear that. Because of what you have in view, what you have in I got right there, your dreams at first sight. That very one that I spoke that preamble about at one time had a view that was like none other. I talked about it a couple of videos ago, those eyes, those lips, those cheekbones and hips. It was just what you wanted. But now here you are, just one look. I talk about that house in Homewood that I used to walk out every morning heading toward the train. When Renee and myself went to that house, it was on the corner. It was a 3 or 4 bedroom. It had a basement. And it had all the things that we were looking for. It was perfect. We saw it and we said, that's it. The realtor said, you know, she didn't have to tell us because I think it was 3 or 4 families in there looking at it while we were there. They said, if you want it, you need to put your offer in now. And I said to her, what's the offer? And I was like, that. We ain't going to play no games. But that. And after a period of time, it was a couple of weeks, wasn't it, Renee? And then we got the call and they said that house is yours. So what am I getting at? Just one look. Some of us, we've got dreams and visions of places we want to be. That speak of material wealth, that speak of abundance, whether it be a home, car, or your life's partner, or that job. I'm talking about the job, or business, or chosen vocation. But one thing about it I want to say as we go forward in what you have in view, some of you call it, things you want to manifest. Other of us, we're walking in faith. That thing, that hope, that desire, things hoped for, but the evidence of things not seen. Some of you awaken from your dreams. Some of you, like me, I get excited when I see things on television or things on YouTube that I want to be a part of. And I'm talking about in the material realm, But one of the things that came to mind that I thought to write down, don't get so caught up in trying to accomplish that dream, that person, that place, or that thing, and forget to love. Forget what peace is all about. Forget about proper collaborations. Forget about being charitable. And then forget about charity along the benevolence line. And then those of us that are married do benevolence. It goes on to say, just one look. I wrote down, for whatever reasons, the heavens declare the glory of God. Heavenly things, heavenly things, heavenly things. Those of us that are spiritual, those of us that are believers, Hype Central is Christian based. There's certain things that we walk after and believe in that the world just don't understand. It says the world seems to hold these truths useless. I wrote down this. The world. That unless this dream or vision or viewing that you see can be hypothesized, can be categorized, can be synthesized, then the world says it doesn't exist. I'm going to take it further. It says that the world says that what you're involved in is the paranormal. What you're involved in is pseudo schemes. What you're involved in is rituals and superstition. What you're involved in is quasi sciences and more quack theories or Greek tragedies and things like that. There's one particular show I used to follow called the X-Files. There was one episode that was named "I Want to Believe." I want to believe. I want to believe. You heard me on a couple of videos ago talk about what I saw. What I saw. It was just one look. I saw. I'm like you. What is this? But I know what I saw. There are those of us, some of us have families and friends, and they see us today. They see what we're doing. They say, ain't nothing to that. Ain't nothing to that. But then I wrote down this song. I don't know. But I know I've been changed. I got a new walk. I got a new talk. You may not be able to categorize it, synthesize it, itemize it, hypothesize it, but I've been changed. That leads me to the next phase of just one look. I wrote down here, clarion call. There's a clarion call going on in the world today, going out to, you say, chosen, or to his elect. As I was doing background and listening over the week, this song came to mind. I didn't know the name of the song, but this came to mind. I'm telling y'all, when these songs come to mind, I didn't sit there, well, this song goes this, or this goes, I'm giving you what I got. This is the song that came to mind, and I had to look it up because I heard it. And the song is For What It's Worth. That's the name of the song, For What It's Worth. It was sung by Buffalo Springfield, and the songwriter was Stephen Stills. I'm going to read some of the words and maybe it'll trigger. The last time I might have heard it was on What is that? What is that guy? Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump. That was the last time I heard this song. But it goes something like this. There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that song? It's called For What It's Worth. And if you when you leave this video, pull it up and listen to it, it sounds like the beginning of revolution. There's a change happening here, and it's not exactly clear. Look, a couple of messages ago, the first message that I felt like I was really giving was to those that are despised, that are, that are talked about. They're like, no, they doing witchcraft. No, they doing some dark stuff. But one of the first messages I was given was to them. God sees, he hears, he knows. But his request was, come a little closer. Come a little closer. He has more for you. There's a changing of the guard. I said almost a week and a half ago, there's a new sheriff in town. There's a revolution in the making. The work that has been is being renewed and revived. There's a changing of the guards. Woo! In churches, in institutions, in government, there's a changing of the guards. And God is calling his elect, his chosen, to the front line. Are you willing? Are you willing? Let me move a little bit further. Just one look. Another song came to mind. This one you may know. It's like, why are you giving all these songs? Why that preamble? Somebody needed to hear that preamble. But here's another song that came to mind. And it says, I can see clearly now. See. Clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's going to be bright, sunshiny day. It's going to be a bright, sunshiny day. And then so on and so forth. That's the next song that came to mind. I can see clearly now. Changing of the guard. The building of a revolution. The clarion horn is sounded. Another song came to mind. You're just full of songs today. I'm only giving you what I got. And it goes something like this. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. That is Imagine. Songwriter John Winston Lennon. Rest in peace. Dream, dream, dream.